Hello, welcome to ChamberLIVE, the latest edition of our Construction Connections group, brought to you by the East Lancashire Chamber of Commerce. The views expressed in this webinar don't necessarily represent the views of the East Lancashire Chamber of Commerce, but all facts are believed to be correct at the time of recording, which is the 25th of November, 2020. Now, I'm sure we all wish we had a pound for every time we'd heard 2020 described as an interesting year. And whilst like all sectors, they've found this year to be a year of uncertainty, change and disruption. The construction sector does appear to have rebounded well from the initial pause in March. Today, we'll hear some really positive news coming out of the industry, some great stories of growth and innovation. We're going to hear from guest speakers John Boys, who's Director at Boys Holding PLC, Joe Pepper, who's Employment and Training Manager at Procure Plus. But first of all, time to hear from David Lord. He's Head of Construction at Burnley College. David's worked at the college for the past 18 years. He's now proud to be the head of construction. During his time at the college, he's been a part-time lecturer, then a full-time lecturer, a programme leader, and then curriculum manager. Prior to working in education, his trade background was in carpentry and joinery. Hand over to you, David. Good morning.
Good morning, Simon. Are you all right to start my slides?
Certainly am. Yeah.
See you all, guys. Thanks, Sam. So, good morning, everybody. It's great to see so many positive people attending this meeting in these challenging times. I can't believe the amount of people who've actually got on a Zoom call, which is great. So, my presentation this morning is focused on increasing involvement in our construction vision group, looking closely at our curriculum offer to ensure that we're in line with local, regional and national industry needs. And John Boys is one of our patriots of that. If you can slip to the next slide, please, Simon. So as you can see from the information on the screen, the construction industry has thrived, just like you said, Simon, in your opening speech. Unlike many other sectors across the UK, vocational learning is seen by many as an excellent career opportunity, not only for those wishing to progress to apprenticeships, but for those to aspire to complete higher level learning on HNCs, HNDs, level 6 and master's degrees. And you can see some of our students this academic year. If you can forward, to the next slide, please. So the aim of our vision group really is, does the curriculum meet the needs of industry? So predominantly within a training provider, these are predominantly the routes that we undertake. One of the main purposes of the vision group is to ensure, firstly, it meets the needs. And you as a vision group, what do you think? What organisational needs? This knowledge is essential in shaping the curriculum offer. So are we offering what you need in industry? Are we getting the right student to do the right task that you need? It meets the needs of the learner and it identifies future opportunities. Next slide, please, Sam. So as the previous slide, we continue to expand in our offer in all areas of teaching and learning, from full-time education, apprenticeships and university studies to newly branded Northwest Business Training commercial arm of our provision, headed up by Ashley Alderson, who's actually in the room today. You'll probably see him when I spin the camera around in a bit. Also, environmental technologies has also become an increasingly important focus area here at the college. Now, while we've been a part of this, the vision group has grown, and what we're looking for is other members from the chamber to join the group to take part in some of these activities to see that are we doing the right thing. So if you can move to the next slide, please, Sam. So one of the main things for us is really, it's our motivation, yeah? It's having competent, competitive, high-achieving learners who have confidence in their abilities to take pride in their work. So putting students on competitions is making them thrive to become the best that they can possibly become. It's a shame that COVID stopped some of that this academic year, that we didn't get the opportunity to put more students through to become the Apprenticeship of the Year, to win Skill Build, to win World Skills. It was a shame, but watch this space. We'll be back as soon as them doors open. So to the next slide. And if we look some of the awarding bodies, which some of you already know of, but are these the right awarding bodies? Are these the awarding bodies that you know, that you trust? Is the brand correct? And is it industry recognised? And the vision group can look at that and say, actually it's this awarding body that we feel is better for our sector. Sorry, Simon, next slide, please. And then some of the partners that we work with, we've got loads of partnerships in construction. I think here at the college, we work with 217 different employers. These are just a few that we actually interact with. And then the next one. And then more partners. So as you can see, there's loads there that we meet with. And some of the people that's in there, some of them are a part of the vision group. So on that, really, to conclude, may I take this opportunity to thank you for giving up your time to listen to me this morning. And I look forward for you to be at our next meeting. If you would like to become a member of the Vision Group, and it is growing, please add it to the chat, your email address or your number, and I will personally get in contact with you this afternoon to set some dates up, or when you can either do it through Zoom or when we've got the opportunity to meet and enjoy the smell of the bacon that's not arrived yet. That would be great. All right. Once again, thank you very much for your time. Oh yeah, sorry, my last slide, sponsorship, sorry. Is there any questions by anybody?
From a practical point of view, David, if I was an employer looking to engage with the group, what would it require from me, and what would I get out of it?
You get requiring is just put it in your. If you put your name in the chat to say that you're interested in it, we'll get back. Like I say, we'll set dates up. But what you'll get out of it is you're learning from other people in the group. We don't want it to be college focused, because the employers are, don't take this wrong, they're on the shop floor, they're doing it, it's real, it's there. So getting that and meeting together in this kind of setting can form what we offer. I know a lot of the awarding bodies offer certain things, but there's different pathways that we may not looked at. So we did meet just before lockdown with John and others members of the group, and things come out from our HNC programs that there were actually some technology that we weren't using. We were using what we were told to use, but actually it wasn't fit for purpose, it wasn't fit for industry. So on that information alone, we've now purchased that information to get that going. So it helps form that when we're working with apprentices or we're working with any student, that when they start working with you, they are equipped to work in the real, their real industry, and they've got the knowledge and understanding of it.
Okay, so it's a good way of challenging. When you all too often in this job, I hear people saying, "Oh, people come out of education and they aren't ready for the job." It's a great way of tackling that at the base level, so that you know that you're delivering the training and education that employers want.
Yeah, it's a great way. It's a great opportunity, and I mean, employer engagement, they shape the future of construction. So the group that we're talking to now shape what happens in the construction industry. They have vast knowledge of what's going on. Us as educators like to get as much as we can and do, continual professional development, but you can't be an employer's input into what's actually going on. And it really does help. It really helps to shape the construction industry going forward.
Thanks, David. Any questions, gang? I'm looking at my wall of people. Surely I know it's early, but someone must have a question for David.
I'll go on.
Yes, go on, Derek.
I was just going to. You mentioned obviously the skills that you're helping with in terms of sort of modern methods of construction. There's lots happening in that space in terms of sustainability and new materials. Is that an element that you also get involved in? Yeah.
So just funny enough, the college are always developing and they're always looking at new ways of going forward. So this, when I say this academic year, I mean just before lockdown, we've actually built a new site area that is doing modern construction, because most buildings now get delivered to site. It's very rarely that we actually construct most of it on site. It gets delivered. So we're doing some modern construction, especially in site carpentry, where things are prefabricated and then installed on site. So we have a purpose-built area now to do that. And you're more than welcome to come, and I'll show you around. You can see it.
I was just going to say on that note, David, it'd be great if there's an environment where you can come and test. You mentioned some of your technologies. We're looking, as a company, we're always looking at how do we deploy latest technologies into construction. So good to know that you've got that. I'll definitely give you a call. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Great. Before we let David relax, any last questions? Okay, right, brilliant. Thank you, David.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
We'll have all
Sorry,
day.
can I just ask one question?
Yeah, go for it, Dwayne. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, quickly, David. My son's on level 2 joinery construction at your college. Said it's absolutely fantastic. So I can just support really what you're saying there about the college. Just talking about the modular buildings.
Yes.
I've got what I do is I supply wall and floor tiles to the project sector, and what they're actually asking at the moment as a couple of my clients is a system where the tiling can be fixed pre-construction, and they want the larger panels. I just wondered if we could maybe have a chat how we can come up with some innovative systems about that at some point. Would that be something that you would get involved? Yeah.
Definitely. We do tiling and ceramic tiling here. Is it yourself that donates that to us?
Well, everything I do basically, it's all project to project. With all due respect, I can't see any architects on here that I know, but architects' tastes change project to project, so we don't really keep a lot of stock ourselves. But at the same time, it's just what basically. What we can do is just really having a look at just different ways of the installation. The modular homes, as what you say there, on site, it is a complete new way of actually doing things, isn't it?
Yeah, so Dwayne, if you put it into the chat there, we can invite you in. I can show you around. We have a ceramic tiling area, and we can come up with some ideas. So just from this quick conversation this morning, you can see how the vision group could work and how it would shape the future of construction. So thanks for that. And I really like the comment about your son.
Okay, perfect.
That's really good to hear. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I thought you were going to ask for a bit of like a parents' evening comment almost, Dwayne. Like, what can you tell me about him? How's he doing?
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, David. And as I say, we'll put David's contact details in the chat box in the follow-up email so that you can contact him directly after this event. Right, we'll go straight on to our next speaker, Jo Pepper. Jo is Employment and Training Manager within the Social Value team at Procure Plus. She specialises in employer engagement and community relationships management to assist in the delivery of projects designed to get local people into local jobs. Having previously worked 20 years in the travel industry, Jo decided to step into a whole new sector, driven by a desire to work closely with community projects across the Northwest. Having grown up in Accrington, Jo's delighted to be overseeing the delivery of the CSF, the Construction Skills Fund, and the OSE, the On-Site Experience Fund, both of those projects based here in Lancashire. Delighted to introduce Jo. Good morning, Jo.
Good morning. Thank you for the invite to come on the call. It's really lovely to see some familiar faces and also some new faces. So hi to everybody this morning. So yeah, thanks for that introduction, Simon. It's quite a meaty project, this. It's really exciting, and just to put some context around it, we've been operating the CSF for probably the last 2 years. It originally launched in Greater Manchester, and we were awarded that contract to deliver. But just some background information first on us is, if you can go to the next slide for me, Simon, please. For those of you that have worked, come across, stumbled across or touched upon Procure Plus, you'll have an idea of who we are and what we do. We are a procurement framework predominantly used by social housing providers looking for contracts around property maintenance, new build, etc. We also have Osco Homes, that's a build division of our own. We've got Revision, which is our charity arm of the business, and we've got our charity Women and Manual Trades as well, which we acquired a couple of years ago. Procure Plus has always existed to provide a procurement framework, but always driven by the plus delivery on the back of that activity. And that's the side of the business that I work on, and the side of the business that's been awarded the contract to deliver the CSF and OSE, predominantly based on our experience of working with communities and linking up projects to ensure social regeneration happening on the back of any construction projects going on in that area. Simon, if you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So CSF, if you haven't heard of it, it's a funding pot from the Department for Education administered by CITB, and it operates around regional training hubs, and the idea is that it's designed to generate partnerships and collaboration and target specific candidate groups as well. To put some description behind that, we are basically using a pot of money. I always say to our partners in an area, consider us as a paid resource to assist with joining all the dots of projects and programs that are going on locally anyway and doing amazing, fantastic work. But we're almost there as a paid resource to be able to kind of orchestrate them really and ensure that there's a smooth delivery of a pipeline of labour to construction industry partners with the skill set that they need to meet any labour or skill shortage in their business. Next slide, please. So CSF1, as I said, has been operating for 2 years now. So where are we? At the point that these slides were put together, we have moved 428 candidates trained and into employment, 383 sustained. Sustainment is a big target for us, and we're actually asked to measure sustainment of every candidate for 2 years on their journey into employment. 28 females in that mix, which is above industry average and something we're really proud of. 141 employers engaged and supported the project on CSF1. We engaged with 42 local employment groups, and over was spent in supporting the work that those local employment groups actually do around employability and getting people work ready. Next slide, please. So building on that success, we have announced the extension of CSF into 2020 and 2021, and the areas have been extended beyond Greater Manchester to Lancashire, Liverpool, Cheshire, and when OSE launches in January, which I'll mention shortly, we'll also be operating in North Wales as well. The target that we're aiming to deliver is the training of 1,000 individuals to become site ready and supporting 500 of those into employment. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio that we're looking to achieve. Next slide, please. So our offer is that we bring to the table a fully funded bespoke solution to industry partners to address skills shortages. So we're looking to offer an end-to-end solution, and really the aim of this project is that it is employer-led. So we're looking for local employers to tell us what they need, what are the skill sets they're looking for, what are the roles they have available, and what ideally do they need the candidates to have. I want to stress at this point, this isn't a training for training exercise sake with CSCS cards, etc. We really do want to get to the nitty gritty of what makes an individual really highly attractive to the employer and hugely employable. So we're looking to create a talent pool of local labour, basically. It's a bit of a chicken and egg for us. I've launched Lancashire since July, predominantly from my kitchen table, over the phone, chatting with people. It's going really, really well so far, and we've done some great engagement. But we've had to start creating the pipeline almost ahead of the flurry of employment opportunities so that we've got people ready. So we've been working with fantastic partners in and around the area and across Lancashire, some of which are mentioned on my slide a bit later on, to start getting that ready. And we've engaged with employers directly already to talk to them about the pipeline we've got, and we've had some successes so far, which has been fantastic. So thank you for your support for those that are engaged with us already. Next slide, please, Simon. So in terms of the funded training, we do obviously fund the CSCS card. We're funding the employability journey with the local employment group partners, and we're also funding tickets such as working at height, traffic management, manual handling, asbestos awareness, the ones that are listed, but also, you know, we're talking to employers, about other tickets such as demolition, abrasive wheels. We can look at quite bespoke packages if there's a higher level of cost attached to that particular opportunity. There's ways that we can leverage that with the generation of more roles on site at a labour level if we are to fund quite specific roles as well. We're working with apprenticeship schemes. We're also working with graduate apprenticeship schemes. So we're looking to target candidates from backgrounds from which they have barriers. So they may be long-term unemployed, they may have been out of work for a long time caring for a family member, they may have served a prison sentence, they may have other barriers far, you know, broad stroke, we cover all of them. And also, sorry, I've lost my words here. We also are, let's move on. It'll come back to me in a minute. I'm so sorry. Next slide, please, Simon. Thank you. So supporting the local communities, which is where I was kind of going with that. We're touching on lots of local employment group partners, including the colleges. Burnley College have been a huge supporter of us so far. We are using Burnley College as our CSCS test centre and preferred partner for that. The beauty with our scheme is the employer comes first, we ask the employer what they want, we engage with the local employment groups to then put on a training cohort. And so because we're working on a 2-to-1 ratio, we might have up to 12, 16 people from the local community on a particular training cohort. We get those all site ready, they're already employment ready because of the engagement that's happening on the ground. And then we seek and source a training partner. We're not tied in to any specific training partners, so a big driver for us is to support local community, and where we can and where it fits, we will also always support local projects and local training partners, so that lots of people are benefiting from the funding that comes from this cycle. Next slide, please, Simon. Thank you. So some of the success stories that we've had to date, just to give some examples, as well as targeting people from outside the construction industry, and that's where I lost my words earlier, sorry. We are wanting to try and bring new talent into the industry as well from other sectors, but this also puts some context around the kind of candidates and puts faces and makes it quite real. So we have a ex-services, a gentleman who spent 11 years as an infantry soldier. I mentioned a carer who'd been caring for his sister for the last 2 years, long-term unemployed, casual work for cash. We're also looking to capture young lads and girls in the community who are maybe working for Uncle Bob down on a local site. Maybe they don't have the tickets they need to be employable on other sites. They're working for cash in hand, work here, 5 weeks off, it's very intermittent and inconsistent. We're trying to pull them in as well to give them a more sustainable route into building an actual career in construction and feeling good about the industry they work in as well. Next slide, please, Simon. So if you'd like to talk to us about recruitment, please don't hesitate to give me a call, drop me an email. I'm more than happy to come out and have meetings. I can also talk to you about community engagement. Social value targets is something that's being discussed and being brought up more and more when we're having conversations with our employer partners. Because of our ability to report on a social accounting level, we can offer extensive value and real benefit to any organisation that's working to deliver a contract on which they are bound to some sort of social value delivery in that programme. So please, again, just feel free to pick up the phone and have the conversation and just ask any question. I always say we've got this pot of money where we can make the dots join, then as long as the dots do join, we can be quite creative in how we make that work. But this is truly to benefit the construction industry with a local labour pipeline for any immediate or planned projects in the future. Those are my contact details. I did have 3 poll questions that I forgot to ask in that. So I think, Simon, probably if I just pick one, would that be okay? So what I'd be really interested to know, and it's really good feedback for me from a construction point of view and partners, and could I just add here as well, with the scope of funding that we have, we can support construction linked roles in a non-construction company, or we can also support non-construction roles such as admin in a construction company. So there's lots of opportunities to go at here. So I think what I'd really like to know is, I'm going to cut to the chase and go to poll question 3, Simon, if that's okay, which is, would you consider engaging with us for your recruitment needs in the future?
I'll give that a couple of seconds for people to register their vote. I feel like Chris Tarrant, which is me showing my age, because of course it's Jeremy Clarkson now, isn't it? Anyone got any questions for
I do
Joe?
apologise for stumbling.
No, don't be daft. No one notices these things. Any questions for Joe?
I think Mark's got his hand up, Mark Stevenson.
Okay, go on, Mark.
I have. It's not really a question. It's more of a recommendation, really. As one of the partners of the project with Joe, Newground have been working closely with Procure Plus over the last couple of years. Well, really since the project started, and it's such a fantastic opportunity for both candidates and businesses alike. We're now at the stage where we're calling out for businesses. Tell us what you need. Tell us what you want. Because we've got the people there ready to go, and we can source more people. So it's just really a recommendation for everyone around the table, or any businesses that you know around the table, to give Joe a shout and to engage on the project.
Thank you, Mark. I want to add as well to that, which I should have mentioned, to the businesses that are on the call, there is no charge for the service that we provide. So there's no agency fee, there's no hidden cost at any point along the way.
I'll just, the poll results, I don't know if you can still see them or if they're still on the screen or not, but 62% said yes, 4% said no, and 35% said maybe.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's not a bad result, Joe.
That's amazing. Thank you, guys.
Just you mentioned that you'd join the dots as best you can. So if a business had a vacancy but no candidate, presumably you can help with that. But what about if they have a candidate that needs the skills? You can also assist with that, can you?
Yeah. Thanks for asking that question, Simon, because absolutely, we get many businesses that, and you know, the nature of construction sometimes is that they know the candidate they want to bring onto the site, but they just want them to be site ready. So we're working with an employer at the moment who wants to bring 2 young lads onto site. We're actually working with a training provider because they're going to be doing an MVQ as part of their journey, but we're also fixing them up through another training provider to get them CSCS, working at height, manual handling. They're also doing abrasive wheels, and also working on a tower experience in a scaffolding yard. So we're pulling all of that together so that in preparation, but the employer already knew who they wanted to recruit. So yes, please engage with us on that as well.
Great. I'm looking at my video wall to see if anyone else has got any final questions for Joe.
And also, I'll just finish, Simon, by saying sometimes we come across, you know, the candidates we engage with are quite closely assessed, both by the employment partner, employability group that are working with them and ourselves. And every now and again, there's a real gem that comes through. And the beauty of and the employer engagement side is it allows us that opportunity to phone an employer and say, look, will you meet this candidate? Do you want to meet this candidate? This is what they've got. And we can add some narrative to the story of where the candidate has come from to where they are now, which always kind of helps to put the story together.
Okay, great. Really useful insight, Joe, and I'm sure you'll hopefully get some good contacts following today's meeting. We will include Joe's contact details in our follow-up email. I will now introduce our third and final speaker, John Boys from B&E Boys Limited, Director, and then some letters, MCIOB and MRICS, which those of you in the know will know that stand for Members of the Chartered Institute of Building and a member of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. John's got 40 years experience in the industry, as well as a lot of letters. He's responsible for the construction and the development arms of the business. He manages the commercial team, the site managers and the support staff. He's very much a hands-on director, visiting sites on a regular basis to view for himself how the works are being undertaken. He holds regular meetings and discussions with staff to ensure that all aspects are considered and to keep lines of communication open. He's key to motivating the staff and building staff morale. He also leads the ISO 9001 team, ensuring full buy-in from all the staff, and he's very keen to drive the business forward. And he's going to take us through an overview of Boys and some of the exciting projects that they're tackling at the moment this morning. Good morning, John.
Morning, everybody. Morning, Simon. Just wanted to say I've got one or two things on the slides that I'm putting to you this morning. But to be fair, I think there are people around the table who are already dealing with these matters that I'm going to present to you later on this morning. I also wanted to mention that we are working with Burnley College. In fact, my son studies at Burnley College on 3 days a week. And also, Joe has been very helpful to ourselves on the social value side on a couple of projects. We've got 2 very good candidates that have come through and are still with the business and doing very well. Thanks very much, Joe, for that. The first part of the slide shows it will, as it is. I do apologise, it's a bit of a Pearl and Dean moment, but I'm just going to slide through some of the projects that we do for those who don't know that much about us. So I'm going to ask Simon just to quickly scroll through each of the projects. It just gives you a bit of a flavour for us. We are a business that's split into 3 main strands. One is property investment, where we hold property. The next is property development, where we carry out industrial and residential development. And then the final strand of the business is the construction arm, where we build for other people. And we typically values of projects vary between 100,000 and £5 million. So on to the next slide, Simon. And just a typical flavour. Fleetwood School was Rossall School in Fleetwood was a sports hall facility, and we also built next slide, sorry Simon, one in Sedbergh, which is a Sedum roof, stone clad, quite an interesting and challenging project built into the hillside. Next slide, Simon, please. Burnley College built a couple of teaching blocks in Burnley to BREEAM excellent standard on a former gas holder site. And then typically this would be a refurbishment that we did. Every piece of timber that you see in that ceiling was taken down by hand, sanded down and refitted. Quite a technical job. Onto another one, we've done small projects such as rebuild after a fire of a thatched cottage, using obviously specialist skills to put the roof on. It's quite a nice little change. Onto the next one. Currently just handed over the main phase of DSV, the hauliers. They've got a large site near Wythenshawe. We've just built a number of office extensions for them, and we're on to the final phase now. We also carry out quite a lot of educational work, and the one in Horwich here is one that we finished this summer. Typically jobs, as I say, ranging from 100,000 up to £5 million. And finally, a refurbishment project that we carried out a couple of years ago at Paddingham Town Hall, which was keeping those Art Deco features in there after a flood. So that's just sort of typical construction examples. And then we go on to our industrial developments. We currently have a site in Bolton. The industrial buildings that you see in front of you are those that we own or have built and sold. And we also have 8 acres to run for a new industrial development. And then Cuba Industrial Park is just one of 18 industrial sites that we own across the county and into Yorkshire, where we subdivide buildings and rent them out to other business users. And we have a property team that manages that process, and Michael Boys is very involved with that side of the business. Finally, the residential side, which Peter, my brother, has really pushed along these last few years. We've always built houses and been an NHBC member for some time, but Wimbury Place was a 29-unit family home site, which is 3 and 4 bedroom homes. And then we're currently on Oakenhead at Rawtenstall, where we're building 19 3 and 4 bedroom homes at the moment. In fact, I think there's just one left to sell now. So we've got about 4 more residential sites to start over the next 18 months. All down to planning legislation being efficiently dealt with, which is a challenge in itself, and continues to be so. And COVID probably just created 1 or 2 additional hurdles that we could have done without, to be honest with you, in terms of getting things to site. Just moving on then, I've just start with my slides, and as I say, I'm demonstrating to you what Boys are trying to do in the current situation and ways we're looking ahead. But I'm sure some, so I've seen some of the people on the invitees list, and I know that you'll already have dealt with some of these matters and quite efficiently, I'm sure. So from a strategic point of view, we've got a new arena. Next slide, please, Simon, if it will just come on. Yeah, caused by the pandemic. But added to that, we've got leaving Europe and trying to deal with the uncertainty of trading relations going forward. The activity in building new homes, we do need to make sure that there remains a buoyant homes market to keep the economy going. At the moment, there is a risk in losing commercial tenants, but the furlough scheme has underpinned that. And I have to say that tenancies are very healthy at the moment in all our industrial sites. And looking ahead, though, I have to say, where are the new construction orders going to come from? And probably the thing that is just a little bit unnerving at the moment as a challenge is the length of time taken for decisions to come through from actually going out there and deciding to build something and putting a contractor on the site to build it for you. Next slide, please, Simon. So the current challenges that we've been facing, we've got the day-to-day risk of catching the virus, and how do we offer reassurance not only to our employees but to our customers and to the general public as well. And we've had a challenge already. One of our key site managers had to he was ill for five weeks with the virus. So you only get you get a day if you're lucky to adapt to those situations. Unfortunately, we did, but it's not easy, and it's very difficult to plan for something that you don't know when it will happen, but it's likely that it could happen. So maintaining open communication with clients in these circumstances is very important, and they'll have their own challenges. So I think if you remain open with your clients, I'm sure you'll get that sort of respect and understanding from your customers. Stat services, bit of a niggle for me at the moment. I do find it hard to get the stats services to site. These are sort of water, gas, electric. They're a statutory service, and it is slowing down projects at the moment because of COVID. My concern, current challenges would be slowdown in inquiries and decision making, as I've already said. I have also seen, the BBC saying that young people coming into the industry, they've seen a 66% drop in apprenticeships. That was on the BBC just over a week ago. So we've got to maintain training opportunities for new employees allied with workload. But you do get employees who are nervous about working in a bubble with a young person who may have have the virus or have the potential to get the virus. So that is an ongoing challenge for us. Material availability, I put timber in brackets because there is a story going around at the moment that timber deliveries are very slow. I understand that that timber was due from Scandinavia to Tilbury docks, and apparently 3 ships worth of timber was diverted to America because America was prepared to pay more money for the material. So we have had examples of products being much slower to get to site. So next slide, please, Simon. So practical actions. And again, all due respect to people in the meeting already, I'm sure you're dealing with things like this, but strict adherence to government guidance and watching the gov.com website, selective home working where it's effective, and making sure that your place of work is a very safe environment to come and work in. And I think we've made a good success of that. maintenance of a direct telephone line. When we did have lockdown, what we did have is a 3CX app, which enabled us to work from home, but almost make it seamless in terms of receiving calls and fielding those calls as if you were ringing into our head office. You know, we didn't make it a situation where people would ring in and think, oh, are they going to answer the phone? Are they not? Are they shut? Are they not? We did, I think, make a good success of our communication side of the business. On-site practicalities, we've had to hire in more site cabins, for instance, create larger site setups and welfare facilities, staggered our breaks, a lot more PPE usage, and greater cleaning regimes. And B&E Boys in particular has really driven these messages home to our staff and to our supply chain as well. And so I do believe that we're doing as much as we possibly can to keep right on top of all these aspects of our business. And we have had 2 visits to site from the HSE, predominantly looking at our COVID measures, but we have been complimented on the way that the business is set up for those situations, and the HSE have been very kind to show us examples on site of things that haven't gone so well on other sites, where prohibition notices and improvement notices have been served. So, you know, we are sharing that information across all our sites to try and stay on side and try and stay active in business. Next slide, please, Simon. Actions. Excuse me, sorry. We already sort of set out early dates to procure materials. We are having to extend our procurement dates for subcontractors and supply chain, and we're just learning from other people, other competitors, and trying to keep our ears and eyes open and just see how things adapt. You've got to really be fleet of foot at the moment to be as efficient as you possibly can be in this current situation. So, you know, as I say, we are being dogmatic in our simple messages to staff and our supply chain to make sure that we're getting the message across and getting everybody to buy in to keep things going on sites. Last slide, please, Simon. So, new opportunities. I was listening to Jake Berry, our local MP, on one of the radio stations at the weekend, and he was saying, you know, we don't want one big multi-billion pound project as we're coming out of this lockdown situation. What we need is a number of government-backed projects across local areas, so that we're spending that local pound quickly and getting it back in circulation, rounding about our economy. So what I'm hoping for, Jake Berry did mention green infrastructure projects, but that included transport and other things as well. But I'm hoping for, obviously, things such as NHS, schools and other areas where hopefully we can keep our industry going. And then I've listed 1 or 2 examples of other areas where there could be other potential opportunities for contractors and our supply chain in the future. Hopefully, you know, home buying will continue. Green technologies, I do feel the Green Homes Grant, it's a good thing in terms of putting it out there by the government, but there are hurdles to overcome. You know, there are limited approved contractors on board on the Green Homes Grant at the moment. You know, the application process will have to be maintained as a sort of simple process, otherwise it will put people off, I feel. And also just the practicalities, you know, if we have a lot of tourist houses in East Lancashire, and I do wonder how these green technologies will be used in those scenarios. Really, I do believe that, you know, for newer homes, the better built, you know, better materials are being used and they're more airtight. So therefore, there's those green opportunities should help to bring a bit more money into the industry. Healthy local domestic market will help. Now, training incentives, we do need to get, you know, young people back into the industry. It is a challenge because obviously in normal times, you know, young people have other opportunities, but the construction industry is such a wide, varied industry with so many different types of opportunity. And I think you know, I think it's a friendly industry to be in more often than not. And I think you know, I think we've got to really encourage children and you know, teenagers to get into that industry, and as well as people who may have been out of work and looking for new opportunities. So that's pretty much my presentation, and I hope it's been of some benefit. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, John. Has anyone got any questions for John? Don't be shy, just unmute your microphone and chip in. I thought Neve was going to ask a question, then she was just straightening her hair. I was like, oh, my hand. I did it again now. You're going to have to ask a question now, Neve.
I was just going to say, Simon, I've been a tenant of B&E Boys for many years in my previous role in Universal Smart Cards in the Kingfisher Group and the Kingfisher Centre in Rossall, and now we take some units from them, and it's a pleasure to deal with them.
Thanks, Derek.
Great service. So you know, I was moving house and we had to move some storage, and you know, you've got anything from sort of small storage units to quite colossal buildings, and I like the sort of sense of scale really. So you know, you could take me from mini me to big me, but yeah, I've used it. A couple of my clients have been asking for offices in Lancashire, and you know, passed on a couple of details, and staff have been excellent.
Much appreciated, Derek. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Daphne, you got a question?
Hi, John, and hi, Simon. It's not really a question, John, but I've just written a PDF on communicating with your clients, and if you like, I can send it to you. You may find it helpful as well. You mentioned it specifically in your presentation.
Yeah, please do, Daphne. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope you do let me some feedback what you think of it as well.
Yeah, we'll do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daphne. Yeah, we'll include John's contact details in the follow-up email that the ever-efficient Debbie will send round shortly. John, you mentioned about diversification and hoping that Jake Berry or Boris or someone's going to announce a huge influx of investment. We were on an event a couple of weeks ago about diversifying into the rail sector, and I guess there's going to be stations and, you know, new buildings that are going to be rolled out as part of the HS2 build, and then the east to west upgrade as well. Do you see yourself tendering into that sector, or is that not something you'd be interested in?
That's a challenge, that, Simon. We did go and see Network Rail a few years back, and it will be a challenge, is a polite way of putting it. Really, I think it's more sort of targeted towards sort of large organisations and the sort of framework agreements that the network operators have. Really, it's whether individuals within the Lancashire area can maybe tap into one of those you know, supply chain partners sort of further down the tiers, if you will, that can perhaps generate some business for them. What I would have, I mean, the sort of the rail industry is very sort of heavily concentrated on health and safety and procedures and all the rest of it, understandably. So there's quite a few hurdles that you have to go through, and you know, perhaps stations, perhaps sort of buildings and outer line areas outside of the stations is where we could possibly target some business.
Great, thank you. I'll send you, that's my doorbell, by the way. I'll send you the YouTube link to the supply chain event for the rail sector, because it did talk about just that problem about the first tier suppliers are huge billion-pound contracts, but there is an obligation on those first tier and second tier contractors to make their own tendering process for third tier and fourth tier publicly available. So it may be that there's, you know, the smaller projects to pick up on from those larger contractors. So it might be worth an hour of your time, John, just watching watching another YouTube video. I'll send it to you. Any last questions before we wrap things up? The doorbell was one of my construction workers fitting my new wood burner, who on a very macro level is complaining about lack of availability of plaster. I don't know whether you're seeing that problem as well, John, but he's struggling to get hold of his materials. Okay, great. Well, no more questions then, it doesn't look like. So thank you very much, John. I personally, I mean, I've heard of the boy's name. You drive around Rossall, you can't miss it. But I didn't realise the extent of the business and the many different sectors and different factions in the industrial and the residential. So it was a useful overview for me. So I very much appreciate that. We will, in Debbie's ever efficient email, will include PDFs of all today's slides and contact details for all speakers. So if you want to follow up on Burnley College's scheme of employer engagement, or if you want to contact Joe about Procure Plus and those funded skills and upskilling of employees, or if you want to know more from John about their organisation, then do feel free to contact and do connect in LinkedIn with people that you see on the call as well. The recording of today's event will be live on YouTube. Well, it won't be live, but it'll be published on YouTube in the next couple of days. So do watch out for that. And when you see it, tag yourself and share it on social media for us, please, because it helps us to get traction. And then just keep an eye out, please, for our upcoming events. Philip Hammond tomorrow, a couple of Brexit events on next Monday and next Tuesday, our marketing event for anyone in your businesses that handles your marketing on the 2nd of December, and our health and safety event with a very scary lesson in fire safety on the 9th of December. And if this is your final Chamber Live of 2020, do have a fantastic Christmas. Thank you, John. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, David. Thank you to the full team. There's so many people just on one screen at Burnley College. Thanks to the boardroom at Burnley College, and have a great Wednesday, everybody. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching this Chamber Live video from the East Lancashire Chamber of Commerce. If you've enjoyed this content, then you might enjoy some of the other content that's on the screen now. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel.